Hi, Paul. It's nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to
You
meet
can
you
have
too.
a seat.
Okay.
So, what brings you in today?
Well, I my diet, I think I need to get it adjusted. For the most part, I've tried to eat healthy, but then my cholesterol is high. I'm taking medication for that, and specifically my triglycerides, and then whatever the is it the HDL or the LDL, the one that has to be above 40, and I have trouble getting it above that. So just trying to figure out a better way of eating, maybe that might help in my overall diet.
So, it sounds like you have been to your doctor and they have now referred you to me, your dietitian. So, um, I asked you to record a few days of what you eat.
Mm-hmm.
So, let's take a look at that. And
Okay.
we can review it together.
Okay. All right. So that's the questionnaire that you had me fill out.
So I'm just reading through this
Okay.
to make sure that I'm familiarized
Okay,
with
sure.
all of your
Mm-hmm.
history and
Okay.
your background, so that sometimes this helps me to be able to help you.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, so we can come back to that in a few minutes.
Okay.
Why don't we take a look at the foods that you have eaten in the past few days?
Okay. So this was on a Sunday.
Okay. So what we're looking at here, it looks like you recorded when you ate the meal, how much you ate of it, and who you were with, because sometimes that can also influence our food choices.
Okay.
And then we have the next day. Do these represent typical days for you?
Yes, they do. Yes.
Okay.
Right.
So then from where we'll go from here is we're going to do a recall of what you had in the past 24 hours. So yesterday when you got up, what was the first thing you ate or drank?
So that would have been, I had a bowl of cereal in the morning. And then I have black coffee. So that's another thing. I have pre-diabetes, so I'm on the borderline for that. So I've been trying to cut down on sugars.
Okay, and so after you had your cereal and your black coffee, what did you eat next?
Okay, so let me see. That would have been, let's see, yesterday. Actually, I didn't have anything. I drank water at work, but I didn't have lunch. So I had a big container of water.
Okay, and as follows, did you have anything after that?
No, I didn't. No, not until dinner time.
Okay, and what did you have for dinner?
Okay, let me see. What did I have? What is it? What did we end up having? It was we did Mexican.
Okay.
So we had tacos. Okay. So it was a hamburger. And then tomatoes, lettuce, jalapeno peppers, salsa, and sour cream.
And did you have anything to drink with that meal?
I had iced tea. that was unsweetened. Though I did have 5 of the tacos.
Okay, so now we're just gonna go back through the list of what you told me, and we're gonna specify what you said a little bit further. So you said you had breakfast, you had cereal for breakfast,
Yes,
the first thing you ate when you woke up.
Yeah.
What type of cereal was
Let me see, what did I it was Honey Nut Cheerios.
that? And then about how many cups do you think you ate of those?
In the morning, it's probably about a cup and a half.
And do you typically, did you have milk with that cereal?
Yes.
What kind of milk was that?
It's 1%.
And about how much do you think milk?
That's about
you
maybe a
use?
cup. Yeah, about a cup, I'm guessing.
Okay. And so then your black coffee, did you have 1 cup or
Just
2
one,
cups?
just 1 cup.
And you said you did not use any cream or sugar.
No, I
with
don't.
that?
No, I don't.
Okay. How much water did you have? You said it was large.
Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'd say it's probably about a 20-ounce cup. Or
And then for dinner, you said you had 5 tacos.
Mhm.
Were they small tacos or large tacos?
they were the hard shells. So
So about how much hamburger did you put on each?
I would say no more than a quarter of a cup.
In total, or for
For each. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Yeah, that's right. Probably a little less than a quarter. So yeah, so about one.
Sorry, excuse me.
Mhm.
And then you also had tomato and lettuce on those?
Yes. Yeah.
How much of those?
Oh, let me see. I'd say tomato because I used a lot of that. I would say probably about a quarter cup of tomato, and probably about the same for the lettuce in total. Jalapenos, just a few on each. Yeah.
And salsa?
Salsa. Salsa wasn't that much. I'd say probably a quarter cup. Again, for everything. And sour cream. I'd probably say about another quarter.
Do you know if the sour cream was full fat or non-fat?
It was non-fat.
Really sorry. And your iced tea was unsweetened.
Unsweetened,
And
yeah.
about how much would you
That
say?
was 1 glass.
So you'd say about 12 ounces?
12 ounces, yeah.
Okay. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take what you ate and put them into categories. So we have our proteins, our starches, fruits, vegetables, fats. Fats, and then added sugars. Okay, so when we look at our protein choices, do you see anything on the list here that would count as a protein choice?
The hamburger.
Okay, so you had 1 cup of hamburgers, so we're going to make 2 marks for your protein choices. And we'll check that off, just that we did that one.
Yep.
Do you see anything else on this list that you think might be a protein choice?
Let me see. I guess I don't know if the sour cream would be. in some way. It's let's see. Okay, that's what I see there.
Okay. So do you mind if I help you out a little bit?
Yep.
So our milk choice would also count.
Oh, the milk
as
too. Okay, yeah, I forgot that one. Yep. Okay. Yep.
Okay. So moving on to our starches, which do you know what a starch is?
Sort of. So I guess that would be, I don't know if the breads that kind of would fall into it. So I think that, well, the Cheerios would have some in it. That's, I think, some of that, and then the taco shells
Correct.
have some.
Yeah. And since you had 1.5 cups of cereal, that's gonna be 3 of your starches. And with the 5 hard shells, that's going to be 5, 2, 3, 4, 5. This looks great. So as we keep going, when we look at our food choices, do you see anything on here that would be a fruit choice?
No.
And for vegetables,
So vegetables, and we're looking at tomatoes and lettuce, the jalapeno peppers. I guess the salsa has
great.
some in
So
there too.
in total, there's about 2 vegetable choices.
Okay.
For all of that. And moving on into our fats. Do you see any choices on here that would count for that?
I don't see any there.
Okay, so do you mind if I help you
mhm.
again? Okay, so our milk choice, while it's 1%, it's going to count as one of our fat choices. And sour cream, non-fat, will also count
It still has some.
as 1, and you had a 1/4 cup of that. So then we have our last category of added sugars.
I guess the Cheerios, the cereal should probably
So
have.
the cereal, correct. The cereal usually has a little bit. So what do you make of this list?
So I've got a lot of starches, and from that, not too many fruits. Not any fruits in there. That from this day.
That's a great observe. Does this typically look like what one of your days would include?
Sometimes I would have fruits for lunch if I'm eating lunch, but that's pretty close to what I'm doing.
So it looks like today on this day you skipped lunch, which is probably why you didn't get your fruits in
Right.
for the day.
Yes.
Okay, so you had mentioned earlier about your triglycerides level and cholesterol levels and HDLs and LDLs and so forth. Do you see anything here that you think might contribute?
Well, the starches, starches are gonna,
Right.
because there's so many of them there, so that I'm sure that's gonna take into account.
Okay. So do you mind if I share a little bit of information about starches and how that might relate to your values?
Yes.
So when we have extra calories that we eat and consume into our bodies, we use those complex starches, we break them down, and if we have enough of glucose in our bodies, then we'll store it away. And we only have a little bit of space for storage of our sugars and carbohydrates. So those will, if they can't be used for that, they'll be moved into fat stores. They'll be moved into fat stores, which is likely what you're seeing in your levels. Okay. So I will collect these and keep them as notes. Okay, so from what we've gone over today and a little bit about what you've learned, what is your biggest concern? Where would you like to make change?
Well, it looks like I need to look at the starches and try to cut those down to a reasonable amount. So I think that was probably the biggest thing, because in addition also is like it wasn't yesterday, but then I'll have a snack maybe in the evening, so that might be chips or maybe some pretzels, things like that too. So that those would be in consideration. So that that would add it probably some days would be maybe even more for the starches.
Okay, so it sounds like you would like to target your starch consumption.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And would you like to hear some options on how to remove some of the starches but not all of them, and maybe add in something else?
Right. Yes. Yeah, I think so. Because as I look at it too, fruits. I mean, because I need to add fruits, but then that's you're getting more added sugars, and with the pre-diabetes, then that's a concern too. Because I don't want to cut them out, everything out totally, but how to go about making sure that I'm getting enough, but not having too much and throwing the numbers off.
Right. So it sounds like while you want to decrease your starches and increase your fruits, you're a little bit concerned about if you have too much of your fruits that your pre-diabetes and your sugar levels are going to increase.
Yes. So
we can discuss that further if you would like, and I can share some information to help you understand. So when we are decreasing our starches, and you say you would like to increase your fruits, so what I would recommend is that with fruits, since you're concerned about the added sugar component and the spike in your blood glucose levels, we would consume more of whole fruits instead of fruits that come in packaging, like fruit cups or something like that. So whole fruits is like a whole apple that has the outer shell around it, and that you bite into it. Oranges that you peel, pears, peaches, all those types of whole fruits. And so because those are more natural sugars, they'll go through your system better, and they won't contribute as added sugars would. Do you know what added sugars are? What types of foods those are?
Yeah, because I've looked at that. Usually it's the processed foods, I think, because you even look at the cereal or other things that you just make for dinner, or you look at any of the packaging, and it's it says sugar on it. So that's what I'm thinking, is that's where a lot of that comes from. But I don't know if there's any other places where that might come from.
Yeah, so normally added sugars come from products that come from companies and are then added to things like cereals and breakfast bars and energy bars and those types of things.
All right.
So that's why when we look back, we want to consume those whole fruits that don't have the added sugars, because the sugars being added, so it would be like syrups.
Oh, right.
Okay. Sugars.
Okay.
So you said you would like to increase fruits. Is that what you?
That
is
sounds
that your
like
goal for the day for this session?
yeah, and it would then about the starches. What kind of what would you
So
suggest for the starches?
as we increase our fruits, we can swap out some of our starch choices. So instead of having a whole bunch of starches, you can take a few less, or and replace them with fruits, or you can take less and replace it even with another thing in the category that doesn't necessarily have to be a fruit choice to replace the starches with. So it sounds like that you're ready to make this change.
Yes.
On a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate being ready to make your change at? On a scale, 1 being that you're not really ready to change, and 10 you are very ready to change.
I'd say probably about a 9. Pretty close in. I just a little leery of giving up the good things, but I think it's in order for me to progress, make sure that I'm staying healthy, I need to make the changes.
So it sounds like you're ready to make this change because you really are seeing what the numbers are telling you, and you would like to live a healthier lifestyle. So what would make you become a 10 and be totally ready?
Just get rid of all the starches. So I wouldn't be tempted. But since that's not the case, I guess I think it just just trying to avoid that, just not even think about that, or just almost go cold turkey. I've tried to do that a couple of times. It's like, oh, I want a snack. Nope, just don't even do it. So I just abstain totally. So I think that would along those lines is to maybe think about just even doing that.
So since you are ready to make this change, why don't we go ahead and try to rate a goal for you. So your goal is to, what's the first part of your goal?
So I guess to eat more fruits, whole fruits.
So increase fruit consumption.
Then to cut back on starches.
And decrease starches. Okay, so from here I'm going to hand you a piece of paper and a pen, and together we are going to rate a goal that describes what you want to do and how you want to do it and how you're going to keep doing that, maintaining that goal. So we're going to rate what's called a SMART goal,
Okay.
which is specific, measurable,
Okay.
attainable, realistic,
All right.
and
So
timely.
I think probably the biggest thing is with the starches. So is decrease starches. I guess in some ways we'll still have them, but limit the intake per meal, because sometimes like I say, I would have like 5 tacos instead of doing that, like more than one serving is to limit the serving size. It's like, so basically no overfilling or no seconds. Okay.
Would you like to do that how often? On a weekly basis?
On a weekly. I would say probably 3 times a week. Let me see. Limit. per week. Okay. All right. So size, the amount of times. Okay. I don't know, anything, I don't know what other areas.
So I think for
Great.
now that looks good,
Okay.
and we can
Mhm.
move on to
Okay.
your next goal or your next part
Mm-hmm.
doing this.
Okay. So
So as you decrease your starches, you would like to
fruit.
increase.
Increase fruits. Okay. So while I'm because I'm not eating fruits every day, but maybe just at least once a day every day. Whether it be, I guess maybe instead of having the snack, with the starches, I could have fruit instead. I suppose. Let me see here. 1 fruit per day, and sometimes substitute for a starchy snack. So I guess instead of having potato chips, so have an orange. Get the little oranges and maybe have that instead.
It sounds like a great idea.
Okay.
And then just like we did with the starches and how often you said you wanted to
Mm-hmm.
do that, with the fruits, how often do you think you can do this goal?
This I think would be pretty easy. I think this, to do this every day, even during the weekends too, would work.
Okay, so let's write that down.
Per day, every day. Okay.
Okay. So since we have our goals written down and you can take this to go, let's talk about how maybe we can track this so that when you are going through your days, you can see if you have met your goal or not. There are many ways to do this. Do you mind if I share some with you?
Yeah.
We can just talk about this. So, there are calendars, of course, online. I'm sure you have a calendar on your phone and in other places. So, whenever you're making one of these choices, writing down that, or making a tally that I switched my starch choice to a fruit choice, you can mark a little bit a tally on the day that you did that, or you could even write a full note that says I switched my starch choice to a fruit choice. And so on one of those calendars, you can use the printed one or an online version, whatever is your preference. I would recommend doing a printed one, leaving it somewhere in the kitchen, probably magnet onto a refrigerator, so that you see it when you go to grab that fruit choice, and it reminds you, oh, I did it. And
yeah. Okay.
it would be nice. And then the same for the starches, where you would want to mark down which days of the week you completed your goal of only having one serving of the starches with the meal. Is there anything that I can review with you that you are unsure of still?
No, I think you've covered it pretty well.
Okay, awesome. So, you can take your paper to go, and this can be your reminder, and you can put it up on your fridge or on a poster board in your office to remind you to make good decisions. That is all that we have planned for today. I would be happy to invite you back for another session in a few weeks, and we can go over how your goals are going and whether you're meeting them or not, and maybe we can tackle some other of your goals in general.
Sure. Okay, sounds good.
Okay, it was very
All
nice
right.
to meet you,
Nice to
Paul.
meet you too. Thank you.